In this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about a product I've been using for roughly the last year and a half or so, and that is the Gitzo Fluid Gimbal Head. Now, this gimbal head itself, I use when I'm using my Canon cameras, my R1, R3, R5, R5 II, R5C, etc. I also have a red setup. However, I don't use that. That actually won't fit on a typical gimbal style head. So for me, where this fits in my workflow is when I'm traveling, when I'm using solely my Canon cameras. This has become my go-to fluid head for both photography and video. And in this video, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit more about why I like it, the benefits of shooting with a fluid head like this, what I don't like about it, and so on. Okay, so as I just mentioned, I do use fluid heads a lot. I use Cartoni brand. These are very high-end tripods. I'll be honest with you, there is no full 100% substitution for a fluid head. You're not going to get results with any other product on the line that you will get out of a tripod like this. But with that said, a tripod like any of these Cartoni ones here are A, very, very expensive, and B, super, super heavy. So for me, I was looking for an alternative because I go on a lot of trips where I'm using only Canon equipment in more of a hybrid style where I'm shooting a lot of photography and video. And this Gitzo fluid head is $638, which is a fraction of what a quote-unquote professional fluid head is going to cost you. And it's light. It's only 3 pounds, despite what the Amazon listing says is 4.6. It's only 3 pounds, and it feels even lighter than that. Believe it or not, as robust as it looks, it is very, very light. It feels light. It feels so much lighter than the Wimberley head and every other gimbal head that I've ever had. So that is a huge perk because I do go on a lot of these trips where, like I said, in weight matters. I'm flying to Alaska, Costa Rica, places like that, Africa as well, and you're limited on weight on a lot of these trips. So it's hard for me to take a big fluid setup. But anyway, enough about that. Let's talk more about the Gitzo head. With this gimbal, I'm able to get a lot of super smooth panning, both up and down, with your tilt and your panning left to right. I'm able to track fast-moving subjects, slow-moving subjects, you name it. I had a lot of success using this gimbal head over the years. As you can see here, up in Alaska, I spent a whole week this prior year during one of my bear tours, filming these bears running up and down the river. They move pretty quick. This is, believe it or not, even still slowed down a little bit. And I've had great results with it. One thing I will mention right off the bat, though, they do come with a set screw in the base of the gimbal head. So if you get one of these, this is to keep from the lens from sliding forward and back and falling out. Most lens feet on the bottom of the lens will have their own safety measures for that. This screw I took out because it actually cost me a lens. It was my own fault. It wasn't seated properly. I wasn't used to having a base plate with a screw hole or a screw sticking out of it, and my 600mm lens was not seated correctly. So that is a warning, a big warning. Just be aware of that. I broke a 600mm lens because of that. But enough of the negative. That's let's get on to the positive. With this fluid head, you're going to get a lot more resistance than a typical gimbal is going to give you. Now, it's not super customizable the way that, let's say, a standard fluid head is. You can't really dial in a lot of resistance. It's really kind of just one setting. If you crank the dial a little bit more, you can make it a little tighter. That's one thing I'll say. I do wish it had more friction to it. I wish you could kind of dial in a little bit more resistance. I like a lot. But at the same time, even though it's kind of one setting, it's fast enough where I've shot plenty of birds in flight. I filmed them. I photographed both of them. Fast birds like kingfishers, quetzals in Costa Rica, ospreys diving. No issue keeping up with them. And at the same time, there's enough resistance that you can get nice, smooth pans. So I purposely waited to make this review because I really wanted to push this. I made a mistake early on in my, if you want to call it, YouTube career. I reviewed a different gimbal head, and what I didn't really notice right away was that when you would lock that particular head in, after you locked it in, the lens would creep and it would tilt down a little bit, and this drove me absolutely nuts. I couldn't stand it anymore because when It was okay for photography. It didn't really bother me that much for that. But when you're trying to film wildlife and you really need to lock it in, that particular gimbal would not lock in. I have not had that issue with this one so far, and it's been a year and a half. You know, if you don't have it balanced properly, yeah, you might have a little bit of a creep where the lens going to tilt. But if you have it balanced, even without it fully locked in, it does not creep on me. Even using my 600mm lens, heavy, you know, rig type setups with my cameras with monitors on them and things like that. It's very well balanced, and I really like the way that the resistance is set up, that it does not creep on me personally. So that was one thing I really wanted to push and test before I made an opinion on this video. Another thing I'll mention, in the past year and a half or so, it may even be 2 years that I've had this head now, I've been around the world with it in some of the most challenging climates. I just spent a month in Costa Rica where it did not stop raining the entire month, and no rust, no issues whatsoever as far as weather goes. I've been in snow in Canada, really cold temperatures up there, no issues. Blazing heat in both Costa Rica and Africa, performed great. So weather does not seem to be an issue whatsoever with the Gitzo head. So overall, I've had a very, very positive experience. I hope that you can see in these clips that you can get great results with this, professional if you want to call it that. I'm very, very happy with it. I plan to continue using this until maybe something better comes along, but I can't imagine, other than the couple things that I mentioned. You know, if I were to make an improvement, it would just be more customizable, not just kind of one setting. Other than that, I don't really have a lot to complain about. I really like this product. That's why I'm making this video. I'm not sponsored by Gitzo to make this. I'm really only doing it just because I'm happy with this product, and I think that others can benefit from it. So if you're interested, the link will be down below. And if you have any questions, if I didn't cover anything, please just leave a question in the comments, and I will try to answer everything there. And I'll just leave you with a couple more clips that I shot with this product, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.